Just on mining, Australia has been nominated as the nation to oversee the activity around blockchain regulation under ISO, or rather blockchain standardization under ISO. So we do have an ongoing dialogue with Australia as well in relation to some of the standards that are going to be emerging around blockchain technology. So, and we're very keen, obviously, to have dialogue with our counterparts in the US in that regard as well. In fact, just this morning, I was talking to our team based in Perth, who are leading on the activity vis-a-vis the Australian blockchain ISO activity.
Jeffrey, there's a very interesting perspective on standards and sort of the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency, right? And so I believe that this entire thing is such a major paradigm shift that it really impacts everything. Mayapan and I talked about this before, right? But if you think about Bitcoin as an example, right? You've got millions of people all around the world using the Bitcoin protocol, and it never went through an ISO standards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I take your point. Yeah.
And so I think that in the future, right, it may not necessarily be these standards organizations as much as it will be these technology organizations or these technology networks that create the standards essentially embodied in their protocols. Right. And that if you want to essentially participate or plug into a particular network of technology, you're going to have to meet those API requirements, right? As opposed to, sort of the old school where we send people to a far off city, they vote and they come back and they tell everybody else how to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because this technology emerged, as a result of a kind of libertarian thought process, and what we're trying to do is retrofit some of this into the world of regulation and standards bodies. And I totally agree with you. But when there's a diplomatic team, often they will converge on a standards organization as the means to get a share of the action, and unfortunately that mindset pervades, particularly in diplomatic circles. And yeah. So what I would say is it's perhaps a two-way game. Perhaps sometimes they'll meet in the middle, and a lack of regulation might indeed be contained within the standards protocol. And at least if we have a nation which is committed to libertarianism and freedom involved in those negotiations, I think that's probably no bad thing to have a foot in both camps.
At the end of World War II, this Iron Curtain descended, right? And it descended really based on geographic parameters, right? East and West. And I believe that this technology is forcing another Iron Curtain to fall, right? But the thing that separates it is essentially collectivism versus individualism, right? And you've got a lot of people, regardless of geography, you've got a lot of millennials here in the U.S. that say, you know what, I don't really care about my privacy. Privacy is dead. You know what, this iPhone gives me so many features and I'm so comfortable using it, right, that I'll sacrifice my privacy for that because I really want the convenience, right? Or if you go to China, right, China's got cameras in every taxi cab and every elevator. You can walk the streets, it's very safe, right? But it's also very controlled. Yet you've got other folks that say, I don't necessarily want Google or Facebook knowing my every keystroke and turning my camera on or having my Alexa listen to the conversation with my wife. So I believe that we are going to sort of separate into these two communities or forces that are not going to be so much geographically based, but there's clearly going to be a wall of separation between the two. And they're both going to try to use blockchain technology to accomplish their goals. And I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think that we need a lot of good people working to find solutions so that we live in a rules-based, transparent, just society.
Absolutely, and that's very much the case specifically with CBDCs as well. There are two camps. There's the Chinese camp, which is it's essentially creating a centralized CBDC, and then there's a tokenized camp which is saying, well, no, this is an opportunity for us to create almost a new category of currency. So where it is in fact decentralized and distributed. So yeah, you're absolutely right though, and obviously I'm wearing two hats today. I think if I were wearing a personal hat, I would have a different line, but I'm wearing a government hat, and I have to reflect some of the initiatives that are being taken by my sister departments in other parts of the UK government.
Enough said. Hey, listen, I'd love to hear from Mark, because I kind of gave him sort of a false start, and then Juan, and then Hadiza. Hadiza made a great comment. She said, "Did anyone hear anything today that gives them more business confidence to take technology global? If so, would you like to share?" So let's hear from Mark and from Juan, and then if anybody would like to share any takeaways that they got today, then I would love to hear them. So Mark.
Thank you, Gerard. This has been very interesting. I appreciate the opportunity to chime in. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Mark Kaufman, and I'm an intellectual property attorney based in Washington, D.C., and I do a lot of work with respect to blockchain technology. And I've been watching the patent filings over the last several years related to blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And in short, we're seeing a patent landscape that, if not managed properly, could hinder innovation and hinder worldwide adoption because of the potential for excessive and unnecessary patent litigation, both through this model that has come to be known as a patent troll, and through participants and competitors asserting patents. And to that end, I've developed the Community Patent Protocol, which is a series of community agreements. Some of them already existent, some of them we're still working on, which will, without going too far down the rabbit hole, which will serve to balance the rights of patent owners, who I think do have rights, but balance those rights with a reasonable level of freedom to operate, so that those wishing to innovate and participate in the space won't have to worry about facing unnecessary patent litigation. And again, these are all community efforts, voluntary community agreements that I think if the players participate in can help avoid this problem with excessive patent assertions. I'd be glad to tell anybody more about these. Again, it's Mark Kaufman, MarkKaufman, and you can find me on LinkedIn or at my law firm, Ramon Law, RAMONLAW.com. I'm glad to talk to anybody. Of course, if you like, I can answer questions now. Other than that, I'll stop.